The U.S. military is the greatest debt to life, to the people of fighting. No other nation on earth has stolen our land, poisoned our water, and displaced our people at gunpoint. Only you. Only the United States of America. And now you ask us, a population driven into poverty as a result of your policies, our opinion on the renewal of a lease on land that you stole, that you bombed, that you poisoned, and that you refused to pay for the lease of. In honor of our Ohana and White Night last night, I ask everyone in this room to stand up if you're against renewal of this lease. Aloha aina. Aloha aina. Aloha aina. Love you, Uncle. The only conversation we should be having tonight is to set the timeline for the occupation of Kahuku and to ensure there's a budget created to ensure that every bullet fired and every bomb exploded in this region is cleaned up. You stand here tonight as a representative of a commander-in-chief that is actively committing genocide in the world. The only important thing for you guys to do is to look in the mirror, find your values, and turn in your uniforms. And make sure that you clean up on your way home. Oni pakako.
Cheers and salutations. Welcome, everybody, to a very special episode of Hard Lens Media. Today is August the 8th. It is 1 year from the most devastating wildfires to ever impact the great state of Hawaii. Countless people's lives were upended and destroyed. Many people had to start their lives over again. And even now, they're still asking for help to a government and administration that has abandoned them. Yes, the people of Lahaina, the people on Maui have been abandoned. And they are U.S. citizens. They're our people. And in the spirit of aloha, Chicago stands in solidarity with them, as should we all, because our government has abandoned us. Joining me to talk about this 1 year horrific anniversary is none other than Craig Jardula Pasta. He is one of the dauntless few, an outstanding reporter who is there on the ground. But before we get started, Pasta, you have made it very clear to me that you have an announcement that you want to share with the audience, so I want to give the floor to you.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on today, Kit.
No problem.
You know, I don't want to make this about me or I don't want to make it about me. I really don't. But I want to start off by issuing an apology to everybody out there, mainly to the people of Maui, to the people of Lahaina. A lot of you have seen my first documentary that I made, Lahaina on Fire. We went there 30 days after the fire, and still a lot of craziness was going on. But then we returned with your help to make a second documentary, 100 Days Out. Unfortunately, I did business on a handshake, and the project itself is now locked up in limbo. It was very stupid of me to do it, and you know, it's been a real rough year of, you know, people I've done business with have really kind of kicked me in the nuts, but nonetheless, I was stupid to do it. I had nothing to protect myself, and more than anything, you know, this wasn't supposed to be a movie that was supposed to make me or, you know, catapult me into a new level of, you know, popularity or whatnot. This was a movie made to show the people what they experienced and what they went through. And I used my skill set from going out there of being a people person to make good connections 30 days out to when I got back there to 100 days out. I had a lot more people to talk to. We had a lot more footage. We had a lot more filming. And I just want to say I'm sorry for letting the people of Maui down, for letting the people of Lahaina down. It was dumb of me to do it. I don't know what's going to become of it. I don't know if we'll ever reach an agreement, if I will ever be able to show the footage. And, I brought this video to you today, talked about this video because it was so significant in what the people are going through in Hawaii. This rhetoric, this narrative of the U.S. military colonizing that country, because it was a different country. It was the Kingdom of Hawaii, to make it the United States. Very, very much true. And that's how a lot of people feel. But with the Lahaina situation, it even really intensified those feelings. And unfortunately, people are in a situation now that they can't even stay. The one thing I do know that I've heard through speaking to people who in Maui is that there's still a family almost every day leaving Maui. They haven't figured it out. They haven't gotten all the fire victims put up. Lahaina industry has been hurt. It means there's a lot of people who lost a lot of jobs. But today's day was supposed to be something. There was supposed to be another movie coming out to raise awareness of, what our country does, what our globalist does, what the ruling class does, and how they leave people behind, because they do. And there's one thing that was evident talking to lawmakers out there, talking to businessmen, talking to survivors, talking to people who lost loved ones. They haven't been given answers. They don't know what's up. Whether it was a laser beam, geoengineering, energy weapons, and I've talked to a lot of people, whether the water was turned off, whether it accidentally went off, there's been zero accountability. And people who run the show out there, lawmakers, not all of them, but a lot of them, including the governor, it's a shame what they did. And I really wanted to highlight what it was like 100 days out there in Lahaina, because I thought it was so important. Because when I was there 30 days out, people were still scrambling. And a lot of people just went into, survival mode. And they started working at the distribution centers. 100 days out was a little bit different, because those feelings that they had stuck back in their subconscious were now forward. They were having to deal with that. And I thought it was really important to show that reality. And like I said, I did something stupid. I did business on a handshake, and you don't ever do business on a handshake. So I can't even tell you folks when I will have something for you. The lawyers are now working this out. And sorry I let a lot of you down, especially the people of Lahaina.
All right, Pasta. Hey, Pasta, before we get started on this, I want you to listen to my words extremely carefully. Number one, I know you're a man of honor. You stood in solidarity with me. I remember earlier this year, I was at my absolute lowest, bleak, dark pit. And you want to know who actually was out there? I mean, there were a lot of good people with me, but I remember you. You called me up. You talked to me on the phone. You know what you said to me? You're going to get through this. You got to toughen up, and you got this. Now, I know that you are built like a bull. You're Italian, okay? And it's okay. I've been there too. You owe no one an apology. We know your work. Your actions speak louder than words. I'm pretty sure a lot of the people of Lahaina, Maui hear you, and you want to know what they're going to say? All right, Pasta's in trouble. How can we help? Everyone in my audience is saying, Pasta's in trouble. How do we help? Because when I was in trouble, people said, how can we help? So we accept it, but you know what? You didn't have to do it. And yes, you already said, hey, look, business on a handshake. I'd do a handshake with you any day, because we're both men. We're men of honor. But I want you to know that you're not alone, and that we know that you're going to get back on your feet. You're going to be strong, and we got you. So we appreciate it. We see your sincerity. Your work speaks for itself. All right.
Like I said, my good friend Trey Wright sent me a picture of us, and this has been a crazy year for me. Some of the most amazing things have happened. And there's something else I'm dealing with now personally that I'm just trying to power through, guys. And the Maui situation was a kick in the nuts. And like I said, I really wanted to be able to show this, especially before today, because I'm just thinking about what a lot of people in Lahaina, that if they're still there, they're waking up to. I know a lot of people around the mainland. I know a lot of people moved to Las Vegas because their houses just got burnt down to a crisp, and they've lost loved ones and family members, and it's terrible. I mean, I think that you have been one of the best of always highlighting, Kit, that this is the largest fire disaster in American history, and a lot of time that escapes people, especially for people who live in California, where I'm at right now, where there's fires all the time. Every day there's a fire where I'm at, and it's crazy. But I mean, this thing was vicious. It took no mercy, and it really was devastating. And the people of Maui, just seeing what they're going through, and so many things that we have talked about. Like, I mean, this is not a joke when I say it, that the governor was the keynote speaker of Sustainable 15-Minute Cities 2 months before this fire ripped through there. And a lot of people had suspicions about what was going on. And they would go to these city council meetings and they would show up. And we weren't allowed to we went to one of these meetings where the mayor was at, Kit, and a lot of other people were there. And we went to one of these meetings. We weren't allowed to bring cameras in. I shook the mayor's hand. I got his contact information. I wanted to speak to him. I also had an amazing interview with Ellie Cochran, who happens to be the state assembly representative for Lahaina. And I mean, some of the stuff she was talking about, I mean, it's mind-boggling. I mean, I'm a little upset, obviously, on a movie that wasn't made, but, it really highlighted and showed what some of these people went through. I remember speaking to one guy. I was wearing his shirt yesterday, and he owned one of the biggest print shops that would reprint maps and all these other things, and would have art. And he had it in Lahaina. And, he wants to rebuild out there. But he talked to me and explained to me how he went into the burn zone the day after the fire. And hearing his voice and what he experienced, and just sensing that, and just kind of, living vicariously through him, as he was, it was like shocking. And then seeing how some people were able to adjust. The guy who had the toy store, one of the oldest toy stores in Lahaina, his flagship store, burnt down to a crisp. He had another location that we were able to go to that was still shut down because it didn't have water right next to. It was still outside of Lahaina. It wasn't that in downtown Lahaina. But seeing this guy who was the toy man, right, who would sit there and play toys with kids and whatnot, and having that kind of taken away from him, and he couldn't be who he was, but was still trying to survive. And he made these Beanie Babies that were born on August 8th, and told the story of what happened to Lahaina and how he switched to online. And his house now became his office. His third bathroom in his house became the storage room for all his toys and stuff he was shipping out. And we have moments like that. And I really wanted to share that because I thought it was important for people to get a sense of what they were going through in Lahaina. And, Scott, the surfer guy whose surf shop who burnt down in Lahaina, we went to his house and he had a bunch of surfboards that he's trying to, restore because all the boards he had in his surf shop are burnt down. And I remember him giving me his last hat. He goes, "This is the last hat I have." And I put it on, and it was 100 days. He would give surf lessons, and he hadn't given surf lessons for 100 days. So he gave Pasta a surf lesson, and I got up on the board. He's like, "You got to do it. You got to do it." And I did it. And, and at that time I was going through certain stuff and so much emotions and being around all these people. And, but he was restoring all these old boards that he was going to throw away and give away, Kit. But he had no choice now but to try to get them back to, working condition because he lost everything in the fire. And he was just trying to, to make it. to going to some of the distribution centers, and a lot of the distribution centers were closing. And they understood. It was 100 days out. When I was there, it was 30 days out. They were just in full strength. They had food going. They had everything you needed for the families. People were walking up, and you can see people walking up with the trauma in their eyes. Just grabbing things. People who had lost loved ones or family members, and just trying to see what they were going through. And they were closing these distribution centers, but these activists were now making their next move. And we highlighted Lahaina, Fishing for Lahaina, which was on Lahaina Beach, on the beach in Lahaina, in one of the fancy areas near the wharf. It was like one of their areas where there was all these malls and the outdoor mall and these restaurants. And they had set up tents there, and they'd used a loophole from their ancestry laws that state they are allowed to camp on the beach as long as they are fishing. So they set up a bunch of fishing rods and a bunch of tents, and they were telling their elected representatives that you're going to help us out with this housing situation, or we're not going anywhere. And that movement and how it's evolved into, now advocates for changing laws, and they understand what's going on, and how they were helping unhoused people, and how a community come together. Where you had indigenous people, locals, haoles, white people, everybody coming together to help one another because their government had left them behind. And it was obvious to me, and I wanted to put that on display to see what other people would think, that it was a well-managed gentrification, that they didn't want those people there. And a lot of it, Kit, not being cleaned up. Like, where's the Army Corps of Engineers? Where are the tractors? Why hasn't this gotten cleaned up? Why are they dragging their feet? What's going on? How come some people haven't even got to go into the burn zone to find some form of closure? There were so many things happening. We were able to capture a lot of it. And, now you know what's going on. And like I said, I'm sorry I let everybody down. Don't do business on a handshake.
Stop.
We're gonna.
Stop.
I know.
Stop
We're gonna leave it
apologizing.
behind.
No.
That's it.
You're done apologizing. You did it once. You know what?
That's it.
Hey, you're talking to the world heavyweight champion of guys who's made mistakes. I have made a lot. I am the reigning heavyweight champion. Okay, I know it better than anyone else, and I know one thing: you're a man of honor. Everyone forgives you, but now you know what else? You ask for help. People are going to ask how they can help you out, Pasa. I know right now you can't talk too much, and that's fine. That's fine. But when things are set and ready on your end and you raise that alarm, I'm going to tell my audience to go help out Pasta because it's the right thing to do. All right? And you're going to go back to Lahaina. I'm pretty sure people are going to be there. They're going to understand it. Why? Because you talked about the spirit of aloha. I hope I get to go to Hawaii someday to feel that aloha spirit too. So we're going to get it done. Now, I want everyone to understand that this is the most devastating fire to ever impact the state of Hawaii, the United States as a whole. Many people's lives were upended. And if anyone hasn't had a chance yet to check it out, please check out Pasa's first documentary video. Give it a boost. Give it a like. It should be at 5-10 million views. That's what I want everyone to do. But I think it's also important for us to see how the mayor of Hawaii has also addressed the situation. This is from local Hawaiian news. Hey, Pasta, it's everybody's. I don't know who's worse, the Chicago mayors that I've dealt with or this guy right here.
Maui's mayor and the man in charge of the county's emergency management agency say they are more equipped to prevent another disaster. Our Chelsea Davis reports.
Our team is made up of 79 of our county employees who lost their homes during this fire.
Maui County Mayor Richard Bisson says after last year's fatal firestorm, he has made major changes. Among the most notable, the person now in charge of managing county emergencies.
Administrator Amos Lonokailua Hewitt is a retired battalion chief, comes with lots of experience in terms of being a responder and handling emergencies. And the team he's put together, we've increased that department by 13. So we are now in getting ahead and pre-disaster preparation.
Do you regret not sounding the sirens?
I do not.
The former administrator, Herman Undaya, resigned just a
So that was, for in case any of you guys forget, this was the big brain genius who decided not to raise the alarms because, and quote, he thought that people would run. to the fire. Now, look, I'm gonna make a statement here because Pasta Man. First of all, I'm gonna brighten up the mood just a little bit, even with a tragic, horrific anniversary. But I'm pretty sure that a vast majority of people on this planet called Earth, that if you see a big wildfire, I'm willing to bet all 7 billion humans, I'm gonna say for the most part, 99.9999 infinitum, are going to run away from the fire and not towards it. But that's what this genius thought it was a good idea not to raise the alarm.
Week after the inferno that claimed 102 lives and incinerated the beloved town of Lahaina. Lono Kailua Hewitt, born and raised on Maui, whose wife is from Lahaina, says it's more than just a job to him.
What comes to my mind is two words, kuleana and ohana. What we can take away from the 2023 wildfires is that we need the whole community to come together to overcome disasters.
Since he took over in December, he says he has streamlined coordination and enhanced communication.
I encourage everybody to sign up for memo alerts and making sure that we get up to 160,000+ people. Everybody can be notified, and that would be a reliable source of notifications for us to use to notify the community.
And the county has used its notification system during large brush fires recently in Upcountry and Central Maui. The mayor says he's proud of the progress they've made so far with rebuilding and says they're working to create more affordable housing so the thousands of locals who have left the island can soon return.
Me and most of my administration, we're from here. This is our home too. We're not going anywhere. So our commitment is to our community until the very end.
So I know that even when you were doing your documentary, this guy was walking around, still giving his thoughts. What, at least from not only from your first documentary, but even when you went back to the second time, what were the thoughts of the people of their oh so fantastic mayor?
Well, I do have some raw footage that I can show.
Okay.
Mine.
Cool.
And I think the most intriguing interview I had the first time I got off the plane 30 days out, I had great connection over there. Somebody who had been from Maui, somebody who I consider a good friend. He was in the first one. His name is Morgan. He climbs up trees and grabs coconuts, and he sells coconuts on the side of the street. He does it more in Hana, which is on the other side of the mountain, but he was there to arrive at the airport to pick me up. And we went right into a community meeting, and the community meeting was led by Ellie Cochran, who happens to be the elected representative of Lahaina. She didn't want to give me an interview the first time. She didn't know who I was, and it's kind of weird. You see a white guy walking around with a camera guy, you don't know who it is, and people are very suspicious. And obviously, from the first clip you played, you can see that attitude and that energy, right, of people being a little bit distrustworthy, right? So I had to, like I said, use my skill set, let people warm up to me. We didn't film unless we got their permission. The camera was always down. But the first time out, Ellie Cochran didn't really necessarily want to interview with me, but then she saw my first film, and she said, I'd love to do an interview with you and talk about stuff.
So, okay,
now,
well, then let me pull this video up here. So, all right, do you want to widen the screen on your end? Because I don't think I
will.
can. So there you go.
This is
All right.
raw footage, but this is my footage with Ellie Cochran. Now, one of the questions I asked her, I thought was so important. I'm like, well, you're the state representative of Lahaina. That's your district. Have you been talking to the mayor?
Mhm.
And you got to listen to her answer. It's just mind blowing. We went right to Ellie Cochran's distribution center in a meeting. So we were there. We were just filming right out of the. Thank you so much. This is awesome. We were filming right out of the gate. Today we go back to the distribution center. This person's not here. We can't film. That person's not there. We can't film. That person's not. Born here?
Yeah, born and raised next.
There we can't film. That person's not there. And I'm like, all right, let's just stop and get a freaking pizza right now because I'm getting frustrated over here. And then you were born here?
Yeah, born and raised. Next month makes 59 years I've been here in this town.
Yeah.
Yep. You were here, right? When it
This
was
is where I
all
met
built
you.
up and everything? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's what it looks like now, which is like, what happened? Nothing's here anymore.
Well,
So,
it's funny because as I was thinking about this interview, I really want to talk about the macro and what's going on,
mhm.
but I also want to talk about this too as well. But can we start with, because there's something I heard you say, and I had to do it. There's been pushback, I guess, from you towards the governor of the official dead count. And you said something like, You're against that. What this official count on the 100? You said go over there and count those crosses, and I did. There's 135.
Yeah.
And that's just a small portion about what's going on.
Right.
Can you give us a little information to why you think they're downplaying it so much? And even when state representatives like yourself going, hey, this is no good, they're still staying consistent with their story. 98 dead and many missing.
Yeah, 99 and 5 missing or some. Those yellow ribbons are missing. Why would people put up yellow ribbons of their family if they're? Why would they lie?
So
about
then that's
that?
100 and like close to like
Plus-
157 then total, then close to 160.
Gotta be somewhere around there, but I don't know why. That's a good question. I don't know what the point is in minimizing, and downsizing. I mean, to lessen the tragedy, lessen our, grief. That's not going to change.
Yeah.
No matter what number you toss out there or how low of a number you toss out there.
You have to have a sense, because you work with these people, of why they are downplaying this.
Again, I think they don't want to I don't know if it's panic or like downplay it, so when people come back to visit, it's not as, I don't know, alarming or something. I'm not sure. Again, I don't know the reason. For me, I have to be truthful. I have to be real and just tell it like it is.
Yeah.
Right? The number's the number. Missing is missing. I mean, I guarantee you will never find certain bodies. I mean, people got swept out to sea. We'll never know who they are.
Yeah.
Or perhaps they had no family. I don't know. Or entire families just got, cremated and disintegrated. To who's here to speak for them? I don't know. These are just speculations on my behalf too. But I really believe that those numbers are not accurate. I still really strongly believe that. I speak to others and they agree.
Yeah.
So again, we don't have the firsthand proof like, hey, here's the, the extra numbers we're feeling are more accurate, but it's just I don't know, a feeling, a thought, just a sort of comment. When you look at from end to end, the destruction of Lahaina, and you're counting just those numbers.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
make
add
sense.
Up. It doesn't.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't add up. And Lahaina is dry. It's, I mean, I guess that it was a fire, but if you drive around other parts of Lahaina, it's dry. And yet you look over there, it's like one of the wettest spots in the world.
It's raining now out there.
So when we talk about Manuel Kaleo, because people are still using him as an excuse, saying he turned off the water, do you have anything to say about that? Because I really want to know something about the water. Do you have any insight to that?
Well, I mean, water, like you said, being diverted for decades, 130, 40 years now, for plantation. I mean, once upon a time, Lahaina was called the Venice of the Pacific.
Yeah.
There's no water flowing. 33 free-flowing streams. What do we have today? So, yeah, the water hasn't naturally, flowed like it used to. And, just to fast forward to today, that's why everything's dry and why, fire hazards and what have you. So water is a public trust, right? That is not owned by anybody, the actual source of water.
Yeah.
It's the transmission of that source in the ditch system, right? In the transmission lines. That is privately owned, right?
Yeah.
Is it county? Is it state? Is it a private developer? The wells are privately owned. The water itself in it is not theirs per se, but they built the well to pump it into their pipes, and then they disperse it out to homes, agriculture, whatever. So that's where people say it's private. It's not really. It's the transmission of it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, it's just, you might as well own it, because you're saying where it goes.
Yeah. No, true.
There's an old saying, and you might have heard this before, because I'm an election integrity guy. It's not who casts the votes that has the power. It's those who count the votes who have the power. Same thing. It might not be who owns the water gets to have it. It's who controls where it flows. And, that is why too, as well. And I don't mean to bring his name up again. I just want to make sure that, because somebody had told me, Manuel Kaleo this is not on him. It's not his fault. That water stuff he did, this is years and years and years. You said this was the Venice. I heard that this park used to be as green as could be one day before.
It was a usable park, but it isn't anymore. It's just dirt. I have the gravel laid down with Goodfellow Brothers because it was just dusty. When you remember, there was tents and things, so all the open area was dirt and dusty, and we're just trying to tamper it down.
Wow. Pasta, my goodness, my God.
Yeah. She also got into, there was a distribution center. That was the distribution center when I got off the plane. I went there. That was the only distribution center in Lahaina. All the other distribution centers were right outside Lahaina.
Jeez.
And there was another microcosm there too as well, Kit, where there was inner politics going on between certain people that didn't like Ellie. Now, Ellie has got to be one of the most liked politicians from the locals I met on that island by far. But there are people who disagree with the way she's done things and disagree with the way she's handled things. And there are people who got that distribution center closed. And we talked about that, the politics that were involved inside that, because there was accusations of money being taken and this and that. And so we talked about that. And then we went further into more of her relationship with the mayor and the blocking. She had told me in that interview that she had spoken to the mayor once on the phone.
Only one time?
Once on the phone.
Oh, my
She said
God.
she'd called the office, left messages. But you'd think, Kit, that the mayor would have the state representative, the assembly representative from Lahaina on speed dial and talking on a regular basis. She'd talked to the governor once. And it kind of painted this whole picture of like, man, they're not even communicating with the people and the locals on the ground. They're just trying to sweep this under the rug. It was a shame. And that interview that's just 1/3 of the interview. And, I wanted to point out in the beginning of that interview, her talking about those people who had died. And she had said on an interview before that, no, that number is inaccurate, and you can see me trying to pull a little bit. Well, why is it inaccurate? What's going on? Why are they hiding that number? She couldn't give a direct answer, but she felt like it was being downplayed by the administration over there, that they didn't want the people outside of Maui to think that it was a big tragedy and to come back to that island and come back there. And the feelings on that coming back to Lahaina were very kind of all over the place, because it's an island, the Maui Island. It's built on tourism, whether we like it or not. The number one form of of economy over there, the number one, the biggest part of the economy is tourism. And there were people on the other sides of the island, like, come over on this side of the island. When you leave the airport, all these cars, when you come to the airport, all these cars, the renter cars were like so cheap, Kit. Like, the housing to stay in a place, it was expensive. The airline ticket was cheap and the car rental were cheap because the tourists weren't going there anymore at that point. They were told the island was shut down, and it should have been specified. The island's not shut down, but don't go to Lahaina. If you got to go to Lahaina, you better pick up a case of water. Like, I was pulling into a distribution center. The first thing, you got a case of water or something? Like, they could have laid things out. That interview was the best interview in the whole movie. Ellie is amazing. I love her. I know people, they have beef with her, and there are people. There's a suicide issue going on right now. People are very, very depressed. People are sad. They're trying to push it off as drug usage. They're trying to push it off as mental illness. But people are very depressed. They're very upset what's going on. It's a year out, and all I can do is send them my love and blessings, and hope that they can find some way to put their life back together. I know a lot of people left that island, and it's like our good friend Shelby Hosanna said, and I went and spoke to her, and she's in the movie too as well. She says, "What is Hawaii without Hawaiians? This is a shame they're leaving," and that's where we stand.
Well, what I find fascinating too is just how the rich, affluent, green areas of Lahaina or Maui were very much well left alone. By the way, just a side note, did you all know that good old Mark Zuckerberg is building an underground bunker in Hawaii? It's almost as if these rich people sort of have a plan of things going wrong, which I have to say, folks, Hawaii is a chain of volcanic islands. So I guess the whole phrase of eating the rich might come into a new phrase if a volcano decides to go a little crazy. And hey, we get some nice, slow-cooked thermal rich people. Who knows? But speaking of rich people, never forget that over a year ago, you had a millionaire and a billionaire ask you poor folk for money.
We were so concerned about what was happening in Maui that we were texting back and forth. And I read this article that Dolly Parton had given money in her community. And I said, I think this is the answer. You said, I think that's the answer.
I said, I love it.
And so we have created the People's Fund of Maui that will put money directly in the hands of the people who need it right now. So if you send a donation, just click where you see below and send a donation. That money is going to go to one of many residents who have been displaced in Maui. We guarantee.
That's right. And I know a lot of people out there, as Oprah and I have been finding, are just having a hard time trusting where the money goes. What organizations should I send money to? How can I help? In this case, the fund that we created with a lot of hard work from a lot of hardworking people who all care about these people of Maui. As Oprah was saying, it is a clean, direct from you directly to their hands, and right away with some real immediacy, because as we're finding, as you guys around the world know, with disasters like this, the number one need is money.
Is money.
In hand.
And so people being able to have their own agency, being able to make decisions for themselves about what they need and what their family needs, that's our goal, is to get that to the people now. And so we appreciate any support that you can give all the people who were calling me and texting me and messaging me and saying, what do I do? What do I do? This is what you do.
You know.
The People's Fund of Maui.
Ha 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 ha. Rat bastards, both of them. Never forget that they did that, folks. Never forget. Is there? I understand you. I was seeing you fast forward something here. So this is still some raw footage.
Yeah, I did get more raw footage. I got this here is one of the distribution centers.
Oh my god!
And like I said, that's the fence out there right by Lahaina. I walked, and you can see all the people there, and the flags, and the ribbons, and the flowers. And I did that after, before a lady's interview.
Are those the people like missing loved ones and people who are
dead?
deceased?
And and you count that, you got
that's like more than 120. That's more than 130.
Yeah, it's close to the 150s with people missing and everything, and that's just people who put that up there, and like in the first video, the Lahaina on fire, the first one, people saying that's ridiculous that they would say that. That's a kick in the what. This next video I have is a distribution center that I revisited, and that was the thing. Instead of it donating through The Rock and Oprah Winfrey, where they have all these organizations where so many people eat the money up, I gave direct links, and I was very thankful for Jimmy Dore for letting me sit in the big boy chair, because one of the distribution centers we raised a ton of money for really helped them out because they were really down on their luck and they were running out of money. We were able to help them out, but this is one of the distribution centers I went back to check it out. So you can check it out, what they say, what's going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
Craig Pasta Jardula here, Hanakawai Beach Distribution Center, still open. We came here 2 months ago. It was less than a month after the fire, and they were doing everything they could to help the locals or just anybody who was in need get the basic necessities they need, everything from canned goods, foods, medical supplies, the whole 9 yards. So we're back here to follow up because it's still here. Who am I with? And please tell us what's going on over here, my man.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, Isaiah Luahiva. Nice to meet you. Been out here from about week 1, coming from LA, Santa Clarita area, Hawaiian myself. So just kind of felt coming to the calling, as sure as many have for this volunteer opportunity. As of right now, we're still going strong right here at the supply hub, getting people what they need. It's kind of scaling back, not so much of hot foods. We're doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now it's coming down to more cold storage, pantry foods, but still getting people what they need. Got the medics going, stuff like that, giving people information, what they need as far as the transitional time that we're in for housing and temporary just remedy for what's going on. So
how many people a day are you guys servicing at this point now? It is about 3 months after the fire, right?
Yeah.
August, September, October, November, yeah.
So I know. So we got some numbers from the county. They're doing about 15,000 a month themselves, and I think about here we're doing about 15 to 20,000 per week. And I'm sure it's gone down a bit for the last couple of weeks. Probably I want to say at least 20-30% reduction from there. But we're still serving a great amount of people.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, it's very sad what's going on.
Wow.
Yeah. And by the way, we went right into like some of the news services, and they would have these nurse tents out there, and they would have these trauma tents, and they understood that their biggest issue right now is dealing with the trauma. How do we get people who like I said, and this is a very telling interview, because this particular woman, when you're 30 days out, kid, and things go down and what hits the fan, you just go into mode. All right, I got to get this for that person. I got to work there. We need to get water here. We need to get canned goods. We need to get first aid kits. Let's do that. Let's go. Ready, break. And you go and you do that. And you make sure this person, this mother needs milk. She needs baby food. So you go into that mode, right?
Right.
You're just in that mode. And you kind of push all the trauma to the back of the subconscious over there, right? You don't necessarily deal with it. 100 days out, people were just stopping and going, oh my God, what happened? Like they hadn't dealt with it yet. You know, they were just in survival mode. And once they were able to stabilize, like you heard what he said, we're still serving this many people. It's not so many hot lunches or hot dinners anymore. It's now about cold goods and canned goods and getting people what they need. And now we're transitioning into the housing situation because now it was housing. In the beginning of the movie, we follow a guy who puts up tiny houses. And there's a lot of red tape there, guys. Driving to the airport, all those houses that were donated from that European country were on the side of the road. And we also talk about it in the Ellie Cochran interview. It's hard to get housing up in Maui. There's so much red tape. And the small housing communities, some of them were shut down by HOAs. And they couldn't put up small housing.
HOA, can you give the abbreviation again? I'm sorry about that.
Homeowners associations.
Okay.
HOAs are homeowners associations. And we were able to see a small housing unit put up in somebody's driveway. A friend, his friend lost his business in Lahaina and was able to put up a small housing unit, mini housing unit that you can just plug right into the wall in this driveway. So he was able to survive. But that was the plan. Let's get up all this small housing. Let's get all the people in it. Let's let the people of Lahaina be part of the whole cleanup and restoration project so they can stay here. Let's just keep them on the island, right? That was their mentality. But they wouldn't even let them put these houses up. And it was, I mean, some of the stuff in that Ellie Cochran interview that came through about the money, where it was going, where it was allocated to, who's grabbing a hold of it, millions of dollars. Where did it go? It didn't go to help these people stay there. And that's why I say, through my assessment, what I witnessed, it was a well-organized gentrification, and they pulled it off. The ruling class, that is.
You know, and I do appreciate you at least sharing us with some of the raw footage of this, you know, and I know that you are going to be on another person's show as well real quick. So look, Pasta, I do want to share just a couple of the videos here with you guys, because again, you know, everything boils down to this election. I know a lot of people are burnt out and tired of talking about the run for presidency. What does it even mean anymore when you're not even selecting who your nominee is? Oh, wait, hold on. Correction. At least the third parties, they got their nominees. And at least with the Republicans, it was a foregone conclusion Trump was going to win. But with the Democrats, not so much. And speaking of Democrats, because again, Hawaii is a blue state, Pasta, I want to play two videos back to back, because here's when good old Joe Biden, when he was still president, addressed the people of Lahaina.
Wow, he's finally here. Wow, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for nothing. Fuck you. 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 Hey, fuck you, Joe Biden. Fuck you. Fuck you.
And first of all, that was absolutely beautiful. And then, hey, here's when he was able to connect to the people of Lahaina.
My cat.
Yes. Well, not only his cat, his house, a fire that approximately maybe lasted about 20 minutes.
I don't want to compare difficulties, but we have a little sense, Jill and I, what it's like to lose a home. Years ago, now 15 years ago, I was in Washington doing Meet the Press. It was a sunny Sunday, and lightning struck at home on a little lake. It's outside of our home, not a lake, a big pond, and hit a wire and came up underneath our home into the heating ducts, the air conditioning duct. To make a long story short, I almost lost my wife, my 67 Corvette, and my cat. But all kidding aside, I watched the firefighters, the way they responded. You know, there's an old expression. I grew up right across the street from a fire hall in Claymont, Delaware. And the expression is, God made man, then he made a few firefighters. You're all crazy, thank God. The only people who run into flames to help other people. And they ran into flames to save my wife and save my family. Not a joke. The smoke, and the firefighters here can tell you, sometimes smoke is so thick from the windows out, it was that thick inside the home. And we were insured. We did not have any problem, but being out of our home for a better part of a year was difficult. I can only imagine what it's like to lose your home.
Yeah, and listen, first of all, to those musicians, I'm surprised none of them banged them upside the head with the ukulele. But first of all, that was the President of the United States comparing his little simple fire to a devastating fire that impacted thousands upon thousands upon thousands of lives. The most devastating fire, not only in U.S. history, but in Hawaiian history. And it is gentrification on steroids, because in the venture capitalists flew in, destroyed everything, and they still are. So, Pasta, what I want to give you the final word on this, because you have dedicated so much to this. You were one of the dauntless few from the mainland here in the USA to really get this story out there. And look, people want to know how to help you. So obviously, when things are set and ready for you to ask for help, we will be there. But is there a takeaway? What do you want to say especially on this horrific anniversary, 1 year anniversary of the most devastating fire to impact the people of the great state of Hawaii?
Well, I haven't been back in a while, since 100 days out, but I've kept my ear to the ground. I'd like to be a little bit more involved. Shelby Hassana, who lives out there, who was part of the author of Burn Back Better, and also Stephanie Perucci, who helped author that book, will be on the Homeless to Go show today, where Matt Weinglass and I are doing our collaboration show. We've been doing a lot of them, and of course, we're going to do one today. But, I mean, how do we directly help the people of Maui out? Unfortunately, so many things have happened that have swept what happened in Maui under the rug. We have this whole Israel-Gaza situation, right? And so many other things that have taken place. Ukraine, Russia still going on. I'd like to say that there's an easy answer right now in which we can say, go support this, go watch this, go help that. But I don't know what that's going to do. I think that the main thing is that we have to just draw awareness to what's going on. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of stuff from the anniversary go on today. And the first thing we need to do is the first thing that I did when I showed up to the island. And that's just listen. Just listen. Open up your ears. Listen to what people are saying. Listen to what they're doing. I mean, it all boils down to the same thing. It's our government that is the big problem, right? People don't believe this was a natural disaster. They want answers, and they deserve answers. So I think the fact that we have to demand answers, but just listening to those people of Hawaii is the most important thing.
Agreed.
Just listen to what they say. There's going to be a lot of information out there today. It's still really early. It's 8:00 where I'm at. I got to run to this other interview.
Okay.
But just listen, because there's going to be a lot more information and rhetoric, and anything you can do to help. So many people were sending $5, $10, $20 to the distribution centers. Well, there might be another situation like that again to get people into some housing. And if you can help out one individual, one family, you're doing so much. So that is my note to everybody going forward. Listen to the people. They're going to have a lot to say. And God bless Jesse Jett and his song.
Yeah, absolutely. Pasta, I'm just going to say this, and then we're going to move on to the rest of our main show. I know you got to have an interview, so just bear with me. Never again apologize to us. You ask for help, we'll be there for you. You're my friend, and I love you, brother. And you know something? You're going to persevere, and you're going to push through it, like how you told me. So don't you back down. Don't you quit on me, all right? Sure. And if I see you quit, I'm going to go over there, kick you so far upside your head, you'll be spinning for days, but you'll turn around and say thank you. So you get up and you fight, and you keep on fighting until you can't do it no more, but you look behind you, you got the rest of us right there with you. You're going to win this day. You understand
and
me?
I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks, by the way. We're going for some pizza when we get down there.
You're goddamn right. We're going to get drunk. We're going to get high. We're going to eat pizza. And we're going to live our best lives as we should in the most corrupt city in the United States of America, Chicago. So take good care of yourself, brother. We're going to continue on with the rest of our main show. Hey, We love you, Pasta. You got that?
Love you too, brother. Kit, thank you for always being you, brother.
Hey, as I should.
Now what you're following, that's idolatry, that's just fake. And all that wallowing that you tolerate, that's not faith. The kings of colony watched autonomy make our graves. The kings of colony know no policy, only rape. Now once you fall asleep, it won't bother you what they say. But the kings of colony, while they slaughter, they still complain. We say, please color me, still too solemnly, still too plain. All hail economy, praise the pharmacy, seas in flames. They're buying up Hawaii, and the smoke's not even cleared. Those vultures smelled the fire and an enterprise appeared. Investment opportunities where melted down communities leave vacant space BlackRock has been lusting for years. The council meets in private and they don't discuss survivors. Concerns among construction groups are all Lahaina hears. They'll wander through your city with this mocking sword of pity next to Oprah and her camera crew who tore the Trail of Tears, where footage flows as freely as the stream of liquid steel and the pools of pure aluminum that trickle down your wheels. And Biden's here to say he knows exactly how it feels, cause he had a kitchen fire once and had to miss a meal. And people still believe that piece of shit deserves your vote, like he's not why supplies are being smuggled in by boat, like he's not why our citizens were forced to stay and roast. And he can't unfreeze your funding, folks, cause Azov needs it most. I'll bet my every dollar Biden watched it with a smile. I'll bet he knows the whereabouts of every missing child. He's just the kind of man who lives to trample something tribal, collecting culture's corpses just to throw them on the pile. Like he and all his buddies didn't dream about the day when those who dared defy the donor class were cleared away. When home insurance triples and you can't afford to stay, and your land falls to the hands of those whose windfall fan the flames. The state will take Lahaina and they'll bastardize its name, and tourism will swarm it all the same. You see, the state we left Lahaina shows the ground rules of the game, the planes that in the night ignite the planes. And if questions raised that reckon the potential use of lasers, I suggest you take a closer shave by way of Occam's razor. And if those civilians stood between this country and its gains, then there's really nothing further to explain. Because you may know this already, if you truly know our past, but it ain't the first occasion and it will not be the last where Americans are kettled in and made to bear the blast, are barricaded in and left for ash. How many in Lahaina now are lying there awake and still can hear the city we left leveled in our wake? They still hear all the people that we let the fire take, instructed from above to stay in place. So look to the horizon, cause a fire comes for you. Desire made incarnate of the power-hungry few who instructed the police to not let anybody through, to barricade them in, and so they do. He's finally here. Wow, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for nothing. Fuck you. 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 Hey, right here. Hey, fuck you, Joe Biden. Fuck you. Fuck you.